International Holocaust Remembrance Day last week, President Trump provided the following press release. It is with a heavy heart and somber mind that we remember and honor the victims, survivors, heroes of the Holocaust. It is impossible to fully fathom the depravity and horror inflicted on innocent people by Nazi terror. Yet we know that in the darkest hours of humanity, light shines the brightest. And we remember those who died. We are deeply grateful to those who risked their lives to save the innocent. In the name of the perished, I pledge to do everything in my power throughout my presidency and my life to ensure that the forces of evil never again defeat the powers of good. Together, we will make love and tolerance prevalent throughout the world. Many people noted the most glaring omission, not a single mention of the Jewish people. Many people perished during World War II. The Nazis killed political prisoners, gypsies, gay people, and many others. However, there can be no denying that the final solution expressly singled out the Jewish people who lost over 1 million of our people in the Holocaust. That was 1/3 of our entire population, 2/3 of Europe's Jewish population. While many Jews could have taken shelter in America, an anti-immigration, anti-Semitic, Nazi-sympathizing movement known as America First refused to permit Jewish refugees shelter here and sent those who came on ships like the St. Louis back to perish in concentration camps. The de-Judification of the president's press release on the International Holocaust Remembrance Day was intentional. Reince Priebus affirmed on Meet the Press last Sunday that the administration had, quote, no regrets. He went on to add, quote, if we could wipe it off the history books, we would, but we can't. Let there be no mistaking the fact that it is no coincidence that President Trump calls his foreign policy America First. On the same day that he whitewashed the Holocaust Remembrance Day press release, he also imposed a Muslim ban on America. The order indefinitely barred Syrian refugees from entering the United States, suspended all refugee admissions for 120 days, and blocked citizens of 7 Muslim-majority countries, refugees or otherwise, from entering the United States for 90 days. Those countries were Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Meanwhile, there has been total chaos at the airports, and 100,000 visas have been revoked in the last week alone. Just to provide one local illustration of the chaos, I'd like to tell you what happened to my friend and colleague, Shazida Khan, the director of Islamic education at Baitul Mukarram Masjid of Greater Danbury. For the record, Shazida and her husband are naturalized citizens of the United States, and their children were born in the United States as native citizens. They were doing the Umrah with their children, which is sort of a Hajj, and President Trump's Muslim ban was passed while they were in flight to the United States from Saudi Arabia, which is not one of the 7 countries that I listed before. When they landed at JFK, her husband and daughter were taken to detention. They had no idea what was going on. The room was full of Muslim travelers, and it was very frightful for the family to be separated like that. In time, they were permitted to go home, but they never should have been subjected to such an indignity. We're talking about full-fledged American citizens, and they weren't even coming from one of the countries listed on Trump's Muslim ban. It is, in fact, in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Bo, that we are commanded, Torah achat yihiyeh le'ezrach v'la'ger hagar b'tochachem. There shall be one law for the citizen and for the stranger who dwells among you. When our ancestors left Egypt, their policy wasn't Israel first. We took along with us a mixed multitude whom we adopted as our own and treated as ourselves. I'd like to share with you a joint press release from the URJ, the CCAR, and the Religious Action Center dated last Saturday. The Reform movement denounces in the strongest terms the horrifying executive order on immigration and refugees issued late Friday evening by President Trump. The order signed yesterday is even worse than feared, barring entry of all Syrian refugees, imposing, in essence, a religious test for entry to the United States, and refusing entry to any individual coming from a list of majority Muslim nations, betraying even those individuals who have supported our nation's military efforts in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere. Families are now being held apart, and countless individuals who have served our nation in the most difficult circumstances are in jeopardy. The Reform movement called on the president not to sign a discriminatory order banning refugees and others entering from several majority Muslim nations. Tragically, he did not heed our call or those from countless other people of faith, humanitarians, and foreign service and military veterans. Reports of families separated at our nation's airports are gut-wrenching. As Jews, we know the impact that xenophobia and religious profiling have on all people whose lives are endangered by exclusionary laws. We have not forgotten our charge. When a stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not wrong him. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Leviticus 19, verses 33 through 34. The press release goes on to say, the world is learning that under the Trump administration, America does not honor its commitments to people or to the values that have been the source of strength and moral leadership since our founding. This executive order will give credence to those stoking the flames of religious hatred, making citizens of every nation on earth, including the United States, less safe for years to come. We call on President Trump to rescind this abhorrent executive order. Every member of Congress must denounce its provisions, including the imposition of a religious test for entry, and urge its immediate repeal. Every American citizen must take every possible action to oppose this violation of America's greatness. I am proud to say that Temple Shalom is already working to support refugees through our collaboration with 3 churches called New Milford Refugee Relocation. Although the family that we were assigned came from the Congo, we were ready, willing, and able to help settle any refugee family we might have been sent from anywhere in the world, knowing that they would not be Jewish, because welcoming the stranger is what it means to be Jewish. If you can't welcome the stranger, then you can't be Jewish. Midrash Tanchuma Mishpatim 2 teaches, if a person of learning participates in public affairs and serves as judge or arbiter, that person gives stability to the land. But if a person sits in their home and says to themselves, what have the affairs of society to do with me? Why should I trouble myself with the people's voices of protest? Let my soul dwell in peace. If one does this, they cause the world to be overthrown. The Babylonian Talmud, Shabbat 54b and 55a, teaches anyone who is able to protest against the transgressions of one's household and does not is punished for the actions of the members of the household. And anyone who is able to protest against the transgressions of one's townspeople and does not is punished for the transgressions of the townspeople. And anyone who is able to protest against the transgressions of the entire world and does not is punished for the transgressions of the entire world. Sunday, February 12th, the Association of Religious Communities is hosting a Rally for Humanity in Danbury at 2 p.m. Please join us. You can find me at the Temple Shalom table talking about the Jewish commandment to shelter refugees. Also on Thursday, February 23rd at 7 p.m., please come to Temple Shalom to hear my friend and colleague Shazida Khan share her story and the concerns of our Muslim neighbors in Danbury. It was the prominent American political theorist Michael Walzer who said, wherever we live, it is probably Egypt. There really is a better place, a promised land. And there really is a promised time. And there is no way to get from here to there, from now to then, except by joining together and marching, and sometimes stumbling through the wilderness, watching this time not for signs and wonders, but for an opportunity to act. This year, let us rebrand the so-called America First movement from its anti-immigrant, anti-Semitic origins to a movement that puts the best of America's values first, namely our history of providing refuge and shelter to the strangers of the world. Remember who we are, not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Shabbat Shalom.